If your heart, your mind is still talking and you need it to go to sleep, I want you to read with me or listen to me. We're going to start in 1 Samuel 1. We're going to skip down to part 2. We're reading about Elkanah and his two wives. And he had two wives. The name of the one was Hannah, and the name of the other was Peninnah. Now this man used to go up year by year from his city to worship and to sacrifice to the Lord of hosts at Shiloh, where the two sons of Eli, Hophni, and Phinehas were priests of the Lord. On the day when Elkanah sacrificed, he would give portions to Peninnah, his wife, and to all of her sons and daughters. But to Hannah he gave a double portion, because he loved her, though the Lord had closed her womb. And her rival used to provoke her grievously to irritate her, because the Lord had closed her womb. So it went on year by year. As often as she went up to the house of the Lord, she used to provoke her. Therefore Hannah wept and would not eat. And Elkanah, her husband, said to her, Hannah, why do you weep? Why do you not eat? And why is your heart sad? Am I not more to you than 10 sons? After they had eaten and drunk in Shiloh, Hannah arose. Now Eli the priest was sitting on the seat beside the doorposts of the temple of the Lord. She was deeply distressed and prayed to the Lord and wept bitterly. And she vowed a vow and said, O Lord of hosts, if you will indeed look on the affliction of your servant, remember me and not forget your servant, but will give to your servant a son. Then I will give him to the Lord all the days of his life, and no razor shall touch his head. As she continued praying before the Lord, Eli observed her mouth. Hannah was speaking in her heart, only her lips moved, and her voice was not heard. Therefore Eli took her to be a drunk woman. And Eli said, How long will you go on being drunk? Put your wine away from you. But Hannah answered, No, my Lord, I am a woman troubled in spirit. I have drunk neither wine nor strong drink, but I have been pouring out my soul before the Lord. Do not regard your servant as worthless woman. For all along I have been speaking out of my great anxiety and vexation. Then Eli answered, Go in peace, and the God of Israel grant your petition that you have made to him. And he said, Let your servant find favor in your eyes. Then the woman went her way and ate, and her face was no longer sad. So, guys, I want you to understand that, as we read before, we read that, God had closed up her womb, you know, she could not have children. And then I want you to understand and see that Hannah was in this state because of Peninnah. Peninnah was a tormentor to her. You know that she unfortunately she used the fact that she had children and Hannah did not, as a way to provoke her, to make Hannah grieve, to make her grieve. And the truth of the matter is if you read the King James Version, it says that Peninnah wanted to make Hannah fret. And so I want you to understand, what is it in your life that wants to make you fret, that wants to make you doubt God, that wants to make you upset, that seeks to make you depressed, anxious, angry, frustrated, that wants to knock you off of your game and your faith with God. And I want you to pay close attention that this only happened to Hannah as they were going to Shiloh to go and see the Lord. So I want you to understand that as you're getting closer to God, as you're trying to keep your mind focused on Him, as you're trying to do work for Him, there are going to be Peninnahs in your life. The enemy is certainly always trying to torment us and taunt us as we are seeking the Lord, as we are wanting to do something great and wonderful for God. you know, there's always going to be that. And we have to rise just like Hannah did. She rose to the occasion. She could have just stayed at home and been sad and depressed, with her husband. But no, she went out to see the Lord. They had already went, and to worship God. But she says, no, I got to go back. I got to go into the house, into the house of the Lord. And I've got to go and put my petition here in front of him. I got to let him know, what's going on. I got to cry out to him. And I just think it's awesome because we read in the text that the Lord had closed up Hannah's womb. So God is over this thing. He already has in mind. He has an expected end for you. He is in control. This is an opportunity for him to show himself wonderful, to show himself awesome in your life. Whatever your issue is, you know what I'm saying? Whatever the torment is in your life, the taunting, the thing that wants to make you grieve, whatever that is. I want you to understand, whatever door that God has closed, whatever womb that he's closed in your life, I want you to understand that literally God has the power to open that womb back up, and he just wants to hear from you, just like he heard from Hannah that day. She spent her time crying out to the Lord. She did it in such a way that literally she had no more words. She had no more words to say, no more vocal words to say. And the priest thought she was drunk. So when is the last time that you cried out to God in such a way that you had no more voice, you had no more words, you just left it all there on the altar? Leave it all there, Let him take all the pain away. Let him take all the anxiety and the depression. She took that anxiety and that depression and she just gave it to God, because she knew that he could actually be the one that to restore her. He could make things right. He could take the empty womb and bring the fruit of the womb, So I want you to realize that in your life, if your womb is closed up, whatever that looks like to you, it could be a broken marriage, it could be broken finances, it could be broken relationships, bad relationships, family relationships, it could be addiction, it could be not being the mother, the parent that you should have been. But I want you to know that right now that God is able, he is really able to bring about fruit from that closed up womb. And if you guys don't know the story, Hannah did go on to have a child, and that child was Samuel. And he was dedicated to the Lord. So I want you to understand tonight, whatever you're fretting about, whatever, womb closings that's going on in your life right now, I want you to realize that God is over everything. He is in control. All right, guys, that's one thing you need to understand is that, the enemy cannot do anything that God did not allow first. Okay. And so, take courage. Okay. And understand that God has a way of escape for you. So enjoy your night and rest easy.